first vehicle in part 2 is this stunning Rover P5 Coupe, a really unusual in that it's a 4-door coupe designed by David Back and running from the late 1950s right through to 1973. It's a vehicle that in saloon format was favoured by both the royal family and prime ministers, and this stunning example shows why Rover really was the executive premium car of the day, with this beautiful wood and leather interior which wouldn't be out of place in a premium vehicle today. An absolutely superb example and a credit to its owner. Another British classic is this British Racing Green Triumph TR3 from 1960, an absolutely superb example fitted with a part tonneau cover. This vehicle was produced from 1955 to 1962 by the Standard Triumph Company of Coventry. It's a traditional roadster and an evolution of the previous TR2 model with improved braking and power. Next up is a Triumph Dolomite. This is a 1974 example. It was a successor to the original Triumph 1500, which had also replaced the Herald. Originally styled by Michelotti, Triumph were dissatisfied with the market performance and then subsequently re-engineered this vehicle and launched it in 1970. It's a significant vehicle for Triumph, and certainly in Dolomite sprint form was an absolutely superb performance car of the day. Next along is an American classic, a Chevrolet Impala convertible from 1965, a 6.5 litre petrol engine imported into the UK in 1990. This is something you don't see very often. It's finished in a beautiful primrose yellow with a light leather interior, and complete with white wall tyres, does have the period look of the 1960s about it. A really impressive car. Next along is what turned out to be a small volume British sports car, the Reliant Scimitar SS1, produced with the Ford CVH engine. This particular example is the 1600, and over a 10-year life in production, just over 1500 units were produced. This is a particularly rare sight. It was replaced by the Reliant Scimitar Sabre, and eventually sales ceased when the Reliant company went out of business in 1995. Here's a superb example of the Mark II Ford Fiesta XR2 with some period advertising offering for you to tame it if you can. This was the standout hot hatch of the 1980s, and this particular example dates from 1986 and is a particularly good order inside and out. Following the decision by British Motor Heritage to relaunch manufacturing of brand new MGB body shells, MG Rover decided to use the opportunity to relaunch the MGB as the RV8, a 3.9 litre V8 Rover engined roadster with a modified body and interior. This vehicle was designed to increase awareness of the MG brand in the run-up to the launch of the brand new MGF, their new mid-engined sports car. This particular vehicle, like all of them, was fitted with wider wings to accommodate the wider tyres and the wire look alloy wheels. Many of them were exported to Japan, and some of those vehicles are now returning for sale today and can be easily identified by the standard fit air conditioning. Apart from the MG RV8, the MG brand had been dormant from 1980 right the way through to the launch of the MGF in 1995 by the Rover Group. This particular vehicle is a non-VVTi version. Another MGB is next in the lineup. This is a very late MGB GT Coupe, and this was one of the very last cars produced in Abingdon. You can see by the registration plate the vehicle dates from 1980, which is when production ceased. A great example of a lightweight British sports car is this 1970 Lotus Elise Plus 2. This was launched as a model in 1967 to cater for customers who needed a more practical version of the Elan. With longer wheelbase and wider track and 2 occasional rear seats, it was much more usable than that car and generated a lot of fans. I can't be sure that the next car is a true Monte Carlo winning Mini, but it's certainly a 1964 1275cc Mini Cooper, and it looks absolutely splendid in this tartan red and white colour combination. I'm not an expert on American cars, but I can certainly appreciate the fins on this beautiful red and white Chevrolet Bel Air. Next to it, this blue and white Mustang, looking like it's from around about 1968, and also a red Mustang as well. From any angle, these cars look extremely impressive, and certainly some of the most impressive cars at the show on the day. This superb tartan red Austin A40 Farina dates from 1966 and just before production ceased in 1967, produced by Austin BMC and also Innocenti of Italy. It's an absolutely superb example, and I just wonder whether as a hatchback design this wasn't one of the first hatchbacks available in the market, well ahead of those that were launched in the 1970s. Next door we can see a late example dating from 1976 of the Triumph 2000 2500 family. This particular derivative is an estate version which has a huge amount of practicality for a classic car. Next we see a brace of MGs, the first of which is the MGF 160 Special Edition Trophy, which was launched with a 10% power output over the regular 1.8 VBC model. We can also see, just in the shot, its successor, the MGTF, also in the same shade of yellow. As one of the most popular and well supported classic cars, it's no surprise to find another MGB. This is from November 1970. Stepping several generations back brings us to 1935 and this superb Morris 8. It's a real surprise to see how the front windows opened and also the amount of space in the vehicle. Stepping 1 year further back to 1934 brings us to this Austin 7 box saloon, a two-tone example fitted with a really fetching picnic hamper and a superb red interior. Representing the single example of the Jaguar's E-Type at the show is this Mark I Jaguar E-Type 4.2 from March 1968. I believe it's a Series 1 car. I'm not sure if it has the flat floor, which I think was only in the early cars, but it's certainly a superb example, and I absolutely love the enclosed headlamps, which really make this car special over the Mark 1.5 and later models. This 1961 console was the 4-cylinder base model of the 3-model Ford Zephyr range, comprising of the console, the Zephyr and the Zephyr Zodiac. Production finished in 1962, this really is a late car. Finished with a period sun visor and white wall wheels, it really looks typically like a car from the 1960s, complemented by this two-tone turquoise and white paint finish. Fast forward to the 1990s and we find this Toyota MR2 Mark II T-Bar. This looks like a UK car rather than an import, and also it's the GT model because it was fitted with the rear spoiler which was missing from the base model. This is in superb order and a really outstanding colour in this signal yellow. Another British sports car that's appreciated in value rapidly over the last few years is the Healey 3000. I think this is a Mark III model finished in Old English white, and I certainly think the styling of this car is really iconic. particularly the beautiful interior and wood rim steering wheel. Sure, some people will be scratching their head trying to work out what this car is, so let me put you out of your misery. It's a 1967 Bond Equip, produced by Bond Cars Limited of Preston, and it utilised the engine and doors and chassis from a Triumph Herald of the time. 4,389 of these vehicles were produced, but in actual fact less than 100 appear to survive. Both the front section and the rear section and roof are in glass fibre, which generates this unique coupe profile, and to some extent it looks like a mini Aston Martin DB6. It really is a car that's not appreciated for what it is. It's a superb looking car, and only really the doors give it away as being related to a Triumph Herald. Opening the lightweight glass fibre bonnet reveals the 1300cc Triumph engine. The final car is a rare one, with just 35 units appear to be either off the road or licensed in the UK. It's a low volume Panther Callister that was produced right the way into the 1990s and fitted with a Ford engine, and the top marks for those of you that spot the MG Midget doors and cut down MG Midget windscreen. Thanks for joining me for this walk round of the Walton Classic Car Show. Please like, subscribe and share to Lot 76 Cars, and please check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.